welcome back to my channel. Hey, so here's my first video for this 2002 Yamaha YZF R6. And I've got it fully disassembled. The engine's been degreased a few times, pressure sprayed, and it's getting ready to be painted here. Took everything off as best I could. That engine case over there is going to get changed out. Same with this side, the smaller engine case is getting changed out. And it's getting painted semi-gloss black engine paint. Then I got a bunch of extra parts here that I'm not going to be using except for the chain guard. And this is the original radiator that was on it, but it's got damage on it, as you can see there. The original rear seat, can't use that, it's just beyond repair. Also got this rear tail light, it's full of paint and plastic dip. Also, they had these upside down cafe racer bars with risers on them. This original chain's toast. There's a triple tree clamp. And there's the bars, funky bars. Still full of plastic dip. Yeah. There's a mirror that was attached. This is the under tail section, just caked on with plastic dip and paint. And then there's the rear tail section, just loaded with paint. The rear wheel and tire is done. Same with the front. Front's got a huge wobble in it. The back wheel has got a huge dent in it. Dent and a wobble. You can see the dent right there. The tire's just got 0% life on it. The rear disc I'm going to keep because it's still got a few miles left on it, so I'm going to keep that. Also got the tank's full of rust, so I'm going to take off the fuel petcock valve and everything else that I can salvage off it, but that tank is done. Probably reseal it later on, do some body work on it. Front forks, had to disassemble those. Those were loaded with plastic dip and paint. So I'm getting ready to sand these and prime them and paint them. They're going to go semi-gloss black also. And then the frame's going to go semi-gloss with a semi-gloss clear coat. I couldn't get the swing arm off. You need a special tool to get it off, and I bought one on eBay, but it failed, so just gonna give up on that and just paint the whole thing as a unit. See how that goes. But that frame is super light, by the way. Alright, so this is the replacement rear wheel that I got. It came with the tire, and the tire's almost brand new. And I bought the Renthal sprocket. It's a super light sprocket, so it's separate. Then I also got the front wheel. That was separate also, off eBay. And the tire was also separate. They're both Metzlers. I think they're M3s, but they've almost got 0 miles on them. And I still have to put the stock disc brakes back on it. Not sure if I'm going to paint those or not. We'll see. And then there's a replacement tank and rear tail section. The tank has got 0 rust in it. Bought the fuel cap, that was separately. The seat is the original seat. It was full of paint and plastic. It took me a couple hours to get it all off with acetone, but it cleaned up really nice. And the tail section and the rear seat off eBay, those still need to be cleaned up, polished. And I also got a rear taillight off Amazon. It's smoked taillight with integrated turn signals, so I still have to hook those up. And there's the front fairing with the headlight assembly, aftermarket windscreen. Those are all separate, and also the front fender, because the bike didn't have any of this stuff. The airbox was full of paint and plastic dip. I cleaned it up, and it's gonna have the heat shield tape mod onto it. That's gonna be a separate video. Also added a K&N air filter because the stock one was shot, so it should flow a little better. And here's one of the rear sets, cleaned up. Still needs to be prepped and painted. It's gonna go semi-gloss black. And here's the other side. Still soaking and ready to get cleaned. It's still got tons of plastic dip all over it. And then this is the complete rear brake setup that I replaced. This is one I got off eBay as a complete setup, so a lot less work than the other one. The other one I'd have been still cleaning. And then here's I got this chain with that Renthal sprocket. This is a Renthal 520 chain, but it had so much rust on it that it was just pretty much useless. Probably gonna make an ornament or something out of it. We'll see. It's too bad. And over here in this bin, I've got a lot of parts that I bagged and tagged. They're all cleaned up, ready to go, ready to be installed after I paint the engine and the frame. And then I got hanging up here is the stock, or the muffler that was on it, the slip-on Yosh muffler that was really beat up. I mean, look at it. And this is the replacement I got off eBay. Leo Vince titanium can with an upswept design, so it should tuck in pretty good. And it's super light. And that's the stock exhaust manifold that I'm going to clean up and paint before I put it back on. And hiding back here is a replacement radiator. It's almost brand new. I mean, it's got a few miles on it. Compared to the other one, it's just night and day. Like, look at that thing. And then I got these engine covers because the other engine covers have epoxy covering the holes. So these ones are going to get prepped and painted, and probably going to paint the lettering or machine it, I'm not sure. Should look pretty sharp. And then the top box is just vacuum hoses for the carburetor and miscellaneous hoses that I might use, I'm not sure. The bottom one is just parts that I will not be using, like the stock wiring harness, which was chewed up. And these are the front disc brakes that I cleaned up. It took a while to clean them up because they were just so much paint and plastic dip all over it that I had to soak them in acetone. And after soaking them, they came off pretty good. And They still have a little mileage on them. They might have maybe about 1,000 miles left on them. So, can't afford new ones, so I'm going to reuse those ones. And I'm probably going to paint the middle section either semi-gloss or maybe a gloss. Alright, so after prepping for maybe like 4 or 5 hours this engine, make sure everything's taped off and cleaned up. We are painting it semi-gloss engine black, and we're going with a technique that Del Boy's Garage used, and it is 2 light coats and then 2 heavy coats, and there's about enough time maybe in between coats just to get it tacky. And it seems to be, I've used it a while and it seems to be working pretty good, so hats off to Del Boy's Garage for that tip. And I'm not painting those side covers or as much as I can because they're getting replaced with new ones anyways. And here are the side covers. Looks like they're still on there. Looks like they're on the second light coat. And this is the finished product. Looks really good.